Most six-figure founders believe they need 27 new habits just to scale. You don't. You just need 3. And I'm not talking about vague stuff like wake up early, journal more, and be more disciplined. I'm talking about 3 specific types of habits. When placed in the right order, working together, they make success predictable. Not a grind, not a gamble, but predictable. Stay with me and I'm going to show you what the habits are, how they work, and how to implement them into your life today. If you watched my last episode, you already know about the hustle ceiling. That point where hustle that built your business becomes the same thing that caps your business. And I made a case that the problem isn't you. You're not lazy. You're not undisciplined. You just haven't been thinking small. And that might be counterintuitive. Your operating system is just outdated. The survival operating system, the do everything yourself, say yes to everything, measure your progress by how many hours you logged, that operating system worked in the early days, but it has a ceiling built into it. And if you're around the 100,000 to 250K range and you're feeling stuck, you probably hit it. This video is about replacing it. I call it the scale operating system, and it runs on 3 habits: drive, stabilize, and scale. Let me break down all 3. Here's the core premise of what I call the Inevitability Framework. Success becomes inevitable, not lucky, not occasional, not dependent on a perfect week, when 3 habit types are running consistently and they're calibrated to exactly where you want to go. Most founders I talk to have one of the 3 running well, maybe 2, but it's very rare that they have all 3 working at the same time. And that's the gap. Think of it like this. Drive is what moves money. Stabilize is what keeps you sharp enough to make good decisions. And scale, that is what multiplies your effort so your business grows even when you're not in grind mode, even when you're not attentively into it. Miss drive and you're stable in building systems, but your revenue dries up. Miss stabilize and you're making money, but you're running on fumes. Decisions get worse, your health slips, and eventually you crash. Miss scale and you'll be working hard, showing up healthy, but still doing everything yourself. 5 years in, and then you'll start wondering, why hasn't anything changed? You need all 3, not perfectly, but consistently. And the reason I use inevitable, that's intentional, because most entrepreneurs are operating in hope. Maybe this launch will work. Maybe this quarter will be the one. The inevitable framework shifts you out of hoping into building something. When the right habits are in place, growth stops becoming a question of if, and it starts becoming a question of when. Now let's go through each one of them. Drive is your growth habit. That's the simplest definition I have for it. Drive is the one habit that directly produces revenue or for momentum. 1, not 10, 1. For a consultant, drive might be sending 5 outbound messages to warm leads every morning before anything else. For a coach, it might be making 1 offer per day in a DM, on a call, or in a video. For a service provider, it could be delivering client work that generates referrals and renewals. For someone building an online business, it might be publishing content that converts. The specifics depend on your model, but the principles are the same. Drive is the revenue action that has to happen before the day gets away from you. Now, here's the mistake that I see most often at the hustle ceiling. Founders have 10 things that they call drive activities, a full to-do list of things that feel important and urgent, and they're just running all of them every day and wondering why they're exhausted and why the revenue hasn't moved. Having 10 drive activities is the same as having none. When everything is your priority, nothing is. The other version of this mistake is hiding, doing research instead of outreach, tweaking your website instead of making an offer, redesigning the deck instead of getting on a call. All of it feels like work, but none of it is drive. Here's a question that cuts through the noise, and I want you to actually pause and answer it. If I could only do one thing today that moves money or momentum, one thing, what would that be? Whatever just came to mind, that's your drive habit. Do it first every day before emails, before admin, before any pseudo productivity stuff we talked about in the last video. The research on this is consistent. either Cal Newport, Harvard Business Review, and just high performers consistently front load their highest value cognitive work, not because they're more disciplined in general, but because they've decided in advance what matters most and they protect that decision. Now let's talk about stabilize. And I'm going to be real with you about why it's so hard for high performing entrepreneurs to take serious. Stabilize is your capacity habit. It's the habit that keeps you sharp. Your energy, your mental clarity, your physical health, your emotional steadiness, right? Sleep discipline, a consistent workout journal, therapy, spiritual practice, whatever it is specifically for you, where you can rest and restore and come back as your best. Now, here's why most founders skip this one, because it doesn't feel like business. It feels like something you do after business is taken care of. You'll sleep when you hit $1 million. You'll work out when your launch is done. You'll see a therapist once things slow down, but things don't slow down. And the longer you wait, the more decisions you make on a depleted brain, and the more you'll lead from stress instead of strategy. And the more you reinforce the loop that we talked about in the last video. If your business depends on your energy instead of your hours, if you're paid for the quality of work instead of how long you sat at your desk, what would you protect first? That's your stabilized habit. I talked to a founder a while back, digital agency, just crossed 200K. This person was completely maxed out, and he couldn't figure out why he kept losing clients right at that retention mark. We took a look at his week, and we realized that every major client conversation was happening after 7 p.m., after he already worked an 8 to 10 hour day. He wasn't making bad decisions because he's bad at his job. He was making bad decisions because his brain was depleted when he needed it most. We only changed a few things. We moved those client calls to 10 a.m. and we protected one workout day a week. And that was his stabilized shift. His client retention improved within 60 days. The science on this is not solved. Sleep deprivation measurably impairs judgment at the same level as alcohol. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, which physically shrinks your prefrontal cortex over time. The part of your brain that you need to lead, to innovate, to solve problems. This isn't a lifestyle choice. This is a necessity for success. Stabilize isn't self-care as a luxury. It's self-care as an infrastructure of your business, your livelihood, and everything that you're trying to achieve. All right, scale. This is the one that separates founders who eventually work less and earn more from founders who stay stuck trading time for money indefinitely. Scale is your leverage habit, the habit that multiplies your results. So your business grows even when you're sleeping and not grinding, when you're on vacation, when you're with your family. In practice, it looks like this: building standard operating procedures for processes that are repeatable, recording training videos for a team member so you can stop answering the same question every week, setting up an automation that handles client onboarding while you sleep, writing a piece of content that keeps selling your offer for you, a evergreen video, a lead magnet, a newsletter sequence. The principle behind scale is what Neville has described as specific knowledge with leverage. And what the research on high growth founders consistently shows is the founders who break through the ceiling aren't working harder than everyone else. They're just built more leverage. Code, content, capital, collaboration. Those are the 4 categories of leverage available to you. Pick one, build one lever this week. Here's the question. What's the one thing that you could build this week that would save you time every week after? That's your scale habit. Now, the trap with scale, especially at the hustle ceiling, is that founders don't think that they have time to actually do it. And they're right in a sense. If every hour is already accounted for, there's no room to build leverage. That's exactly why this survival operating system traps you. It consumes all your capacity, so you can never invest in systems that would make you free. This is why stabilize comes first in the order of operations. You can't build a scale habit if you're running on cortisol and 4 hours of sleep. And your drive habit has to be consistent before you can start multiplying it. The three work in sequence and all together. So, what does this actually look like day to day? Your 90-day workbook and in the mirror journal I built, there is a daily page structure built around one line for each habit. What is your drive action today? What is your stabilized habit today? What am I building for scale? That's it. That's it. 3 lines. It takes 90 seconds to fill out. And now you can get to moving to your day. And it looks different depending on your business model. So let me give you 3 quick examples. If you're a coach, Drive might be sending 2 DMs to warm prospects. Stabilize is a 6 a.m. workout. Scale is recording 1 client training video so that it can turn into a content asset. If you're running an agency, Drive is 1 client check-in call that deepens your relationship and opens doors for renewals or referrals. Stabilize is lights out at 10 p.m. Non-negotiable. Scale is 1 hour on Friday documenting their process so your team member can now take that over by Monday. If you're building an e-commerce product or brand, Drive is reviewing your ad performance and making 1 optimized decision. Stabilize is a midday walk, 20 minutes, no phone. And Scale is writing 1 email for your evergreen sequence. Different businesses, same structure. Drive move monies today. Stabilize keeps you capable for tomorrow. And Scale makes sure that you're not doing this all alone indefinitely. So one more time, real quick. Drive is the daily action that moves money or momentum, 1 thing done first. Stabilize is the habit that keeps your brain and your body functional enough to lead. Scale is what you build so your business grows beyond you and your personal output. Together, these 3 habits are the operating system that replaces hustle with leverage. That's what makes success stop being accidental and starts being inevitable. Before you close this video, I want you to drop something in the comment. Tell me what your 3 habits are. Tell me what your drive, your stabilize, and what your scale habit is for this week. And I want you to commit to just try this out. 2 weeks. Try this out for 2 weeks and see if it makes a difference. If you need help, I also have a workbook and the link for the workbook for the 90-day program so you can do this on your own. And I would love to help you if you want more hands-on with me. Link in the description as well. Until next time, peace.